when it comes to Jon Jones, okay, you only get one shot at his debut and it being a title shot, right? Like, so if Jon Jones comes in and he fights someone who's not the champion, okay, what that does is it takes away the mysterious nature of his heavyweight debut, right? Like there's like a massive amount of mystery around how is he gonna do it heavyweight. And so you want to maximize that. That's the exact kind of thing that's like that's a flame that you could just throw gasoline on. If you put Jon Jones out there and you do him against Stipe, right? Like you have him as a co-main event or something, right? Which is probably what you would do because it wouldn't be for a belt. So you have him co-main event. Let's say he wins. What does that do for your title fight against Francis? Does that make it sell more pay-per-views or less pay-per-views? Because I can tell you right now, even if he knocked out Stipe in the first round, it still sells less pay-per-views than if he is debuting for the first time as a heavyweight fighting for the title against the dominant champion, Francis Ngannou. All right, Jesse on Fire, welcome back to the channel. Now, I have never been less equipped to do a video than I am right now. I stayed in a hotel downtown with Gabrielle for my birthday last night and my brain is non-functioning. But we're gonna do this video anyway because we got a bunch of people that are angry in the UFC, right? That's kind of like the theme of this particular video is angry people in the UFC because you got Stipe, mad. You got Conor, mad. You got Gaethje, happy because he's getting a title shot. And then you got Islam and his team, mad. Then you got Arling Qingling, the Chinese guy that Cody Dirty Durden beat and then said, go back to China where you came from. He's real mad. Someone translated that for him and he's like, wait, what did he say? He's mad. And then you got Muhammad Mokaev, Dagestani super prospect, 6-0, about to come into the UFC from Dagestan, like I said. He's real mad. He wants Cody Durden in a dirt nap, in a body bag, son, and he wants to be the one to put him there. So, yeah, lots of conflict. So we're going to talk about those things. Now, if you like the content, subscribe and ring the bell. First thing we're going to talk about, though, that actually has some meat on the bone is Stipe Miocic, right? So Stipe came out and said that he is very upset that, well, I don't know about very. I don't think that he's ever said he's very upset, but he said he's unhappy that he wasn't given the interim title fight, which makes perfect sense, right? Like, there are hard truths that we talk about on here all the time about, like, is a fighter marketable? How does that affect, his shots at the title, all that stuff, right? And so Stipe definitely has that working against him. But if you are just looking for some form of sanctity at all in this being an athletic competition that has some form of rules as it relates to who should fight for the title, etc. I mean, Stipe lost to Francis. He's the greatest UFC heavyweight of all time, without a doubt. He lost to Francis, but he beat him the first time. I mean, you have a trilogy fight there, obviously. I mean, like, obviously. So, but even if you don't want to do the trilogy, I don't really understand how you can justify doing a Derek Lewis and Cyril Gane interim fight. Again, now, it does set up a great fight. Cyril Gane and Francis Ngannou is an extremely exciting fight. I'm going, son. I bought my tickets last night. 6th row, dog. 6th row in the chairs on the bottom floor. So that'll be exciting. I'll be able to go jump hug Francis's team after Francis knocks Cyril the out, son, because I do believe he's going to. I am very confident that Francis is going to win. I know a lot of people think he's not, but I do. Anyway, but yeah, so yeah, I mean, look, like, you do that interim fight, it sets up Cyril, and Stipe's like, dude, what? Like, how would you feel if you're Stipe? You're like, how am I not involved in who's, like, not getting an immediate rematch with Francis, but like, I'm not even fighting for the interim title to get another shot at Francis? Derek Lewis and Cyril Gane? Yeah, I mean, I'd be pissed too. But you know why? Again, it's just about marketability. They don't think that they'll be able to sell a big fight with Stipe attached to it just based on historics, Like, I think the 2 fights with DC did a lot of pay-per-views, but that's because of DC, right? Like, it really is crazy to me how not marketable Stipe is given how vicious he is and how, like, he's a heavyweight champion that's literally knocked everyone out, Like, seriously, if you look at his run, it's not like he has boring fights. Like he literally, he knocked everyone out. He didn't just beat him. He knocked them all out, except for Francis that he just beat the living piss out of for 5 rounds. You know, every other person he knocked out. You know, so, well, I guess it was a decision over DC the second time they fought, right? Is that right? I know he finished in the third time. But finished in the second time, then they had the decision the third time, and DC's eye was all jacked up. Anyway, but, anything can happen at the heavyweight division now, right? Because now, Stipe's saying that he wants either Jon Jones or the Francis trilogy fight. Now, I can tell you pretty confidently he's not getting that Jon Jones fight, and I'll tell you exactly why. Because when Jon Jones comes in, they're going to put him into an immediate title shot. And the reason for that is because you only get one shot at Jon Jones' debut at heavyweight. And if there's ever been a guy who deserves an immediate title shot in a weight class, up a division, it's Jon Jones, right? Like, think about the other guys who have gotten title shots up a weight class. Izzy, right? Now, Izzy had some dominant wins, but how many? Conor McGregor won the belt and then immediately went up. Well, I guess he fought Nate Diaz twice, but that doesn't count, right? Immediately goes up. Daniel Cormier goes up, and again, because Stipe is not marketable. Now, that's the other thing. On the other side of any fighter going up a weight class to fight for that title, every time you will find a champion that's not marketable, that's up a weight class or down a weight class. Like when TJ went down to 125, that was before Triple C was Triple C. That's the first fight that Cejudo did the Triple C thing. And so when they made the decision to have TJ go down, anytime they have a guy go for 2 belts, bet that the person that is in the other division that's the champion is not marketable. Or in the case of Francis and let's say Jon Jones comes in and he ends up fighting Francis, that would just be such a blockbuster fight that it'll be worth it. But also, UFC is very intentionally, to me it seems, not marketing Francis, right? Like, that's what it appears to me. But I understand why. We all know what his contract status is. He's got 1 fight left on his deal, and he's going to fight it out. Like, all the cards, dude. And I'm going. That's why I'm going to that fight, because because I'm friends with guys on his team that have have a lot riding on this fight. A lot. Where these guys have risked things. These guys have taken risks that, whether you agree with their strategy or not, if you're a person who's an entrepreneur or a person who respects people like going all in and really genuinely putting it all on the line, if you could really wrap your brain around what these guys are doing right now, what they've been doing for especially this fight, you understood the deals that are getting put in front of them that they're turning down. They're turning down enormous money, okay? Enormous money, so that they can gamble to become a free agent coming off of a win. First time that any UFC fighter would do that. And who knows what kind of money they'll be looking at there, And so if you agree or disagree with their strategy, you have to respect the commitment that it takes from Francis and his team to do that. It's a fucking enormous risk, because if he doesn't win, the UFC is going to take the fucking enormous deal that they offered him, and they're gonna smile while they slide across his new deal offer, which is fucking 1/8 what they were offering before. Like, that's what'll happen. And they'll be happy doing it. They'll be smirking while they're like, oh yeah, price of the brick going up, or in your case, going down, son. But on the flip side, Francis wins, sitting heavyweight champion with 12 months to sit around on his champ contract or champ clause with no binding anything that he has to fight. So you see which direction the numbers go in that case, even with Anyway, but you got that situation. It seems like they're not marketing Francis, which is exactly what I would do. If I was this UFC and I had a fighter who was potentially, was in any way a threat of being the first champion to step out of the, out of the organization and test free agency, I would make his undercard terrible. I would barely market that fight. I would not market that fight because the risk is not worth it. Like even if you think Cyril, has a good chance of winning, that if Francis wins, there's a high likelihood that it's going to be a highlight knockout. And so if you've got a bunch of eyeballs on there, he highlight knockouts. What does that mean in terms of your business, right? Now you've got a serious problem. Like the UFC is going to do anything they can to not lose their sitting heavyweight champion. That's just is what it is. And I would imagine the first thing they'll try is, a bigger number. But just in terms of just common sense business, they're not going to promote the shit out of, anything Francis is doing until this works itself out. Once he signs a big deal, like, if he wins and then he signs some 6-fight extension, I mean, I'm sure they'll promote the fuck out of him, right? But anyway, so let's say Francis wins, or let's say Cyril wins, like just for conversation's sake. Let's say either one of them wins, right? When it comes to Jon Jones, okay, you only get one shot at his debut and it being a title shot, right? Like, so if Jon Jones comes in and he fights someone who's not the champion, okay, what that does is it takes away the mysterious nature of his heavyweight debut, right? Like there's like a massive amount of mystery around how is he going to do it heavyweight. And so you want to maximize that. That's the exact kind of thing that's like that's a flame that you could just throw gasoline on. You want to maximize the flame. Like in certain cases, I've been talking about all these like tier 1, tier 2 rules, which are all 100% accurate. But then there's all kinds of other nuanced stuff around, that, again, if I actually wrote this all out, like really wrote out how the correct way to matchmake, the algorithm would look fucking insane. But it's so clear to me, but like writing it all out in terms of rules would look nuts. But as an example though, like this, if you put Jon Jones out there and you do him against Stipe, right? Like you have him as a co-main event or something, right? Which is probably what you would do because it wouldn't be for a belt. So you have him co-main event, and they fight. It's like, even if he wins, right? Let's say he wins. What does that do for your title fight against Francis? Does that make it sell more pay-per-views or less pay-per-views? Because I can tell you right now, even if he knocked out Stipe in the first round, it still sells less pay-per-views than if he is debuting for the first time as a heavyweight fighting for the title against the dominant champion, Francis Ngannou, okay? Because you have that mystique, like what's he gonna be like at heavyweight? Like that is a huge fucking draw, dude. That's a huge draw. An even bigger draw than, wow, Jon Jones is amazing at heavyweight. Look at what he did to Stipe. He knocked him out. Okay? Because we already know that. We already know that Jon Jones is a killer. And then all we'd be doing is like validating, oh, he's also a killer at heavyweight. And then now it's just back to a Jon Jones and Francis fight versus his debut at heavyweight, also for a title. So, I mean, I'm not saying for sure the UFC wouldn't make a Jon Jones and Stipe fight, but I'm telling you right now, that would be the incorrect play. Incorrect. Fucking incorrect. And again, I'll plug myself again. Matchmakers at UFC, look, man, you would not have to pay me very much to get me to uproot and come sit in that room with you guys all day long. I'll teach you all about my motherfucking algorithm for matchmaking. But, yeah, I'm fun to hang out with too. Usually I'm not so brain dead. But yeah, the correct play, for 100% sure, is Jon Jones directly into a title shot, for sure. It would be a blunder to do it any other way. So yeah, I mean, so if you're Stipe, you're not getting the Jon Jones fight. And I mean, I guess theoretically, if Francis wins and then he beats Jon Jones, I mean, you actually probably get the winner of Jon Jones versus Francis, assuming Francis won, or Cyril versus Jon Jones if Cyril won, or whatever. Like, but Stipe does not have an obvious fight on the horizon at all. I mean, we'll see how it goes. Maybe he gets the loser. Maybe he gets the loser of UFC 270. That would actually be my guess. They'll give him the loser of 270 as his next fight. That is my prediction. He gets the guy that doesn't win, which will be Cyril, because Francis is going to win. But yeah, so he's in a tough spot. So he's mad. He's mad. Understandable. I mean, for a guy with his record, he has like no fucking pull, dude, because he just doesn't get along with these guys. Like, he doesn't get along with Danny, doesn't get along with Hunt. I think it's Hunter. He has like pretty sure it's Hunter. That him and Stipe like really don't jive. And I'm gonna be honest, I understand that. You know, I'm pretty good at picking out like personality, like specific personality types, just obviously like just watching people talk. I have a feeling Stipe would not like me. You know, there's 99% of people that I hang out with in person, you know, we jive. And there's a few personality types that it's like oil and water, vinegar and water or whatever. And I could just tell, like, I'm not Stipe's fucking flavor, dude. Like, I would aggravate him. He would not like me. And it would piss me off that he didn't like me because I like people that like me. So, but anyway, whatever. So that's enough of that. Now, Conor is mad. No, he's not mad. He said he's getting a title shot immediately when he comes back, and everybody can just get over it. Get over it, okay? Now, why I'm bringing that up is just to kind of point out that regardless of what Conor's doing, right, whether he's punching DJs or, you know, whatever he's doing, or none of that, maybe he's just training. And honestly, I actually considered that maybe all of this is a crazy act. Like, I'm serious. Like, he is actually that diabolical that all of this could be a crazy act, you know? Like, the MTV Music Awards thing, that was nuts. Like, he threw a drink at Machine Gun Kelly for no reason and then was, like, totally calm. And if you've ever seen the post press conference after the Nate Diaz one where they were throwing the water, and then he gets into his car and he goes, okay, the crazy act is over. Now it's down to business. Actually, maybe that was after the Khabib press conference. But I know for sure after one of the most like unhinged performances of his ever, he gets into the car, he goes, all right, well now the facade of crazy comes off and let's get down to business. And I think about that and it's like, is it possible that Conor like juked this thing with this DJ? Probably not, you know? Probably not. But either way, he is the best fight promoter fucking ever. I mean, literally, like now I could basically say in the social media age, there is no better fight promoter than him. You know? Like, he just comes out, he tweets like, everybody needs to just get over it. You know? I'm getting a title shot no matter what. He's what, 1-3 his last 4 fights? You're like, you're 0-3 in your last 3 155-pound fights, dude. Like, you're 0-3 in your last. I mean, I'm not like. I think Conor is. I think Conor is still one of the best fighters in the world. I think he's just at. You know, he lost to Khabib, which it's fucking Khabib, and then Dustin ended up being a much worse matchup for him than people gave it credit for. I don't really consider that last one a legit loss. I really don't. I know people are like, oh, you know, Dustin was dominant, but like. You know, I mean, I get it. Historically, Conor fades out. If you know, Conor doesn't look really good in the first round. Generally, that's not faring well for him, especially with a guy like Dustin who's going to get stronger as the, you know, fight goes on. So I think it's fair to say that after the first round, you know, Dustin was likely to win that fight. But Conor's leg broke, okay? Not due to anything that Dustin did as far as I can tell. He stepped back on his ankle and his ankle broke. Now, again, I don't know how this has turned into everyone just goes, oh yeah, Dustin beat him again. It's like, Dustin beat him in the first round. And then he broke his leg, right? So, you know, like, I want to see that fight again. I would love to see it. But, yeah, so I just mean, like, when I say he's 0-3 in his last 3 fights, I'm not saying he doesn't have anything left, dude, at all. I think he beats the vast majority of contenders at 155. He's a killer, dude. Even in that Dustin fight, until he pulled that fucking guillotine, which I don't know why he did that, unless his ankle was hurt and he knew it. Anyway, it's not here nor there. So he's not going to get a title shot, but he'll get. I would imagine he's at least 2 fights maximum from a title shot. If he wins 2 in a row, he's fighting for the title without a doubt, and maybe even 1 if they pull some shit, you know? Yeah, and so Islam is pissed because Gaethje is getting a title shot next, but, dude, what if they did Conor versus Makhachev? Like, right now? That would be insane. That might be the only, like both tier 1 fighters breaks most of the rules. But like I said, when it comes to Conor, rules are out the window. And maybe they might do that just because they're thinking if Conor did, by some fucking miracle, beat Islam Makhachev, he gets to call out Khabib and you might, maybe, get to pull Khabib out of retirement to fight Conor. That's the fight Dana wants more than any other one. You guys understand that? Like if you ask Dana, I would fucking bet my life. I would bet my fucking life. If you were like, get Dana on the psychiatrist couch, actually you probably wouldn't even need to do that. Probably just ask him directly. Be like, what's the fight you want the most? Be like, Conor coming off a win, Khabib rematch. For sure. For sure. But yeah, so we'll see. I can't remember what the other people that were mad. Oh yeah, Islam Makhachev's mad. Whatever. I mean, he'll win one more fight, he'll get a title shot, or maybe even sit out and wait. Nah, he needs another fight, dude. He needs to win one more. Dan Hooker is good, but like he needs one more. He needs one more. Maybe Chandler, or maybe Dariush. Maybe Dariush. Anyway, I don't know. So last thing, we're talking about this Arling Qingling, who's mad at Cody Dirty Durden because Durden told him to go back to China where he came from, and someone translated that to him, and he was like, okay. They're like, no, he said go back to China where you came from. He's like, okay, yeah, my flight leaves at 10. They're like, no, you don't get it, dude. You don't fucking get it. When you say go back to China where you came from, even if you're from China, that's crazy racist. Crazy racist. He's like, I mean, I don't like him. I just lost a fight to him. I'm confused though. He said, send him back to China where he came from. That is where I came from. Listen, don't try to get into the weeds on what's racism and what's not in America. Just ride the wave and go ahead and tell him that you want to fight him again and you want to smash his face, because that's what you do in the UFC. And so he took the opportunity to basically say that he won that fight. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think I actually saw that fight, and so I can't comment on whether or not that would be an accurate statement. But he's like, I beat him already. He's a coward. And dude, that guy does have one of the best nicknames ever. It's like the Mongolian serial killer, I think. The Mongolian, am I thinking that right? Mongolian serial killer? Let me see. He slams Cody Durden's disgusting mouth for comments following UFC Vegas 243 or 43 or whatever. What is this guy's? I read this and I was like, okay, well that is honestly like he's the Mongolian murderer. That's a fucking badass nickname, man. The guy needs to start winning some fights so that we could, hear that more. Like the Mongolian murderer, that might be the best nickname in the UFC, dude. The Mongolian murderer, that's badass, man. Fucking badass. But another guy's getting in on the act in terms of like, I want to be the hand of justice that crushes racism. And this time it's Mohammed Makayev from Dagestan. So he wants to smash Cody Durden because he said, go back to China where you came from, to a dude who's from China. But Cody apparently apologized on Twitter. I don't know why he would have done that. Like, dude, why would you apologize? You're getting the attention that you want, dude. Okay? I understand, like, I get it. When you start getting hammered online, it doesn't feel good. Even if you thought you were prepared for it, like you knew people were going to get mad and you're all, yeah, like people are going to get mad and that's a good thing. And then all of a sudden when the negativity starts rolling in, you're kind of like, man, I don't like how this feels. But guess what, dude? Let me just school you and any other apologers. Do you think that when you tweeted, I apologize for what I said, I didn't mean to insult anyone, do you think that any of the people who were like, fuck that racist, do you think any of them were like, well, he apologized, so, slate's clean? Okay? No, they didn't. Okay? Of course they didn't. Because none of them are actually insulted by the thing that you said. Okay? That's not how this game works, dude. Okay? That's not how this game works. The apology is irrelevant. Okay? The only time you ever apologize for a thing that you said like that is if you work for like Disney and they're like, yeah, we're going to cancel your fucking show if you don't apologize for saying that 3-year-olds are too young to transition. This is not a made up story, right? AC Slater, you may remember, had to apologize for saying, like the trans thing, like I don't know. I just feel like 3-4 years old seems a little bit young for people to, be in a position to like make a decision like that. And you're like, yeah, I mean, that's a pretty common sense position, right? That's pretty common sense. And then like the next day he's like out there doing a hostage video. He's like, I did not understand the pain that I was causing the trans community when I made my ridiculous and uneducated comments about 3-year-olds. You're all, why are you doing this? And the reason is because they're like, get the fuck out there and you go apologize, little bitch. Oh, what you don't want, unless you don't want your paycheck. You don't want your fucking paycheck, AC Slater, huh? You want to stick with those disgusting, bigoted comments that you made about 3-year-olds not being old enough to decide whether to mutilate themselves, huh? Stand by them? Say goodbye to your career. He's like, okay, I am sorry, I don't mean it. But unless you've got someone threatening your livelihood, don't apologize, dude. Don't do it. It does nothing for you, okay? Everyone still thinks of you as like the racist guy, which is a good thing for you, okay? Just embrace it. Stop apologizing, okay? Double down on that. Double down on it. Should have just gone out and been like, hey, to anybody who didn't like what I said, let me clarify. I knew he was tough, which is why I sent him back to China with an L where he came from. I needed to just also quantify that he is going home with a loss also. Back where he came from with a loss. Send him home. Back to China. Because he actually is going home. Like, it's not racist. It's not racist. It's not a racist thing. Okay? You're not going to convince me that that is a racist thing just because I think someone might be mean to me in the comments. Okay? I don't lie. I don't apologize for shit that I don't mean. You got the wrong guy, dude. I will tell you what I think, okay? If you tell Ilhan Omar to go back to Somalia where she came from, that's super fucking racist, okay? Tell Qing Lang, go home to China where you're actually from. Give me a break. But Mohammed Makayev from Dagestan, he wants to smash Cody. And he's making waves, dude. That's a good, I'm sure he doesn't really give a fuck about what he said. He's just doing a good job of getting in the press because he's from Dagestan. And these Dagestanis, certain guys from Dagestan are excellent at fight game. Khabib, this dude. So I just realized I feel like I've been talking for like an hour. So I'm just going to cut this fucking video off. But hopefully that wasn't that awful of a video. It didn't feel as bad as I was expecting it to be. But I love you guys. Thank you for the ongoing support. And happy birthday to me, UFC 270. I'll see you guys there. Peace.